Alrighty. Who ordered some cute girls as national parks? Because I don't know who on earth thought, you know what we need? We need cute anime girls versions of national parks. But whoever they were, I salute you for the service you have done to mankind. I thought we'd seen everything. I thought, cute girls as guns, cute girls as, I think there was a fizzy drink one, cute girls as horses. But you know what? I didn't think this would happen, but it did. So here we go. We are going to go take a hike with these adorable ladies and see what the end has in store for us. Now, I have played through Highway Blossoms, which is the studio's previous game. So I'll be interested to see if this one is as fantastic as that, because I really, really loved Highway Blossoms.
Sorry, sweetie. It's stuck. Can't go any lower than that.
Fully placed from the get-go.
Is that right?
And we start off with two lovely ladies driving around. Well, let's see. I click down on the switch. Sputtering rumble. Coughs from the window, vibrating beneath the rushing wind as it rips through the car. Oh, she was talking about the window. I was wondering, what can't go any lower? I click up on the switch. The window slides the rest of the way up with a smooth purr. I click down again. Smooth purr. It stops halfway. Sputtering. Rumble.
Yeah? There's actually a funny story about that.
Jessie laughs guiltily, waving it off with a shrug and a smile.
But I forgot what it was.
Good job there, girl. Good job. We smack a bump in the road. The car jolts up, tossing me into the door. I glance in the side mirror as we drive away from a pothole.
Every problem in this park has a story. And there's a lot of stories.
I don't know what it is. Something about that line. There's a lot of stories. That reminds me of something. I can't think what it is though, so oh well. God, the artwork is already like we're on the first frame, and I'm just like, my God, the quality here. Is there a? How do I hide the? Is it H? Like that's just unnecessarily good art. But there we go.
The park makes do with what it has, Eve. We're resourceful that way.
I roll my eyes. She gives a reassuring grin, but her reflection in the stupid broken window tells a different story. One of concern, rivers of coffee, and a decade of overwork. There might even be a small wrinkle encroaching on her cheerful, round face, but I don't dare say anything. I'm quippy, but I don't have a death wish. Shit. Sorry, I'm making this way more dramatic than it probably needs to be. Oh dear, oh dear. Yosemite this time of year is a mixture of green and white, where the winter snow still speckles the peaks of stone-grey mountains and blends into spring's revived trees. I close my eyes and let the whistling wind blow into my face, and for a second I almost feel like a little girl again, riding in the back of Dad's pickup truck. Not capitalised with D. The things I noticed. As we zip down the roads of Tioga Pass, anxious to explore the next trail. But right as I remember the smell, sweet fresh air, a van speeds past us, leaving a trail of toxic fumes. The memory is ripped away. The lingering exhaust resembles the I'm again back to making up words while reading visual novels. Didn't take long. Not take long at all. The lingering exhaust resembles the similarly grey sky, and I have to wonder, storm cloud forms, but it doesn't rain. Is it still filled with water? Or is it just hollow? These are very deep thoughts for a drive through a park. Static crackles out of the radio.
Situation number 1 has been resolved. Over.
Jessie peels the mic off the dash. One hand on the wheel as she shifts to her supervisor voice.
10-4. Fill me in on the details.
The reports ended up being at 10:56. White male, early 50s. He was stumbling around when I got there. Stopped discharging his firearm as soon as he saw me pull up. Looked like he was shooting at some bottles.
Ah, America. where it's like, oh yeah, this person just had a gun. I'm sorry. There's one thing I will never understand about America. Like, how, why, what, where, when, what for? I scoff. Don't even try to hide it. Jessie shoots me a narrow look. That is a pretty narrow look.
No altercation. But he didn't need to take a breathalyzer for me to know he was wasted. He's in custody now.
I can almost see the bags sketch themselves under Jessie's eyes as she heaves a deep sigh.
It's only paperwork. All right. Thanks, Ernie. I'll be pretty late, so you can have the yogurt in the fridge while filling out the report.
That's the great reward, yogurt.
Wait, still with the porcupine?
My teeth grit against each other. My shoulders stiffen.
Tell him, girl, we already missed her moves. Hope those Tulumne campers have good dental.
I reach over and rip the mic from Jessie.
Shut your mouth, Hernandez, or else it's gonna be your fat ass who needs the extra dental work.
Jessie wrestles the radio away from me as Ernie cackles over the radio.
Just have that report on my desk by tomorrow. Over.
I'm still trying to grab the radio though, and she throws it back on the dash. Groaning, I cross my arms and stare thousands of tiny daggers out of the window.
Jeez. You know they're just trying to get a rise out of you. Why do you always take the bait?
Being able to stare daggers, literally, would be quite a useful ability. I mean, very dangerous, but quite useful.
Because if they actually cared about their jobs, they'd be angry too. Not that it matters.
At this point, I'm not even sure I care anymore.
It's not everyone, Eve. There are people out there who still care.
You're about to meet one, by the way. Inevitable, side point of this whole thing, but, it is what it is.
Ooh, the campers? Because I can show you some rocks and trees that a certain artist thought made a good canvas.
I swallow the urge to spit.
That kind of stuff doesn't get fixed overnight.
Shadow casts over Jessie's piercing gaze.
Neither did his fractured jaw, or your suspension.
I slump back into my seat. Feelings of shame or regret completely absent. All that's there is the gnawing emptiness that always snakes up to my chest and lingers there. Gosh, I didn't think being a park ranger could be so existential. Not just in the job, just saying. I hope, to any park rangers out there, if this is your usual state of mind, please seek help. Because, Jesus Christ, it's not good. This is not good. Jessie's face softens. The tender expression reminds me of pity.
What happened to you? You used to be such a cute cadet.
Age and time wore away.
What? I'm not still cute?
I flutter my lashes, then I roll my eyes. Normally backtalk like this would get anyone from any profession fired, and secretly, I hope it does.
It's that attitude of yours. I remember when you were energetic and determined.
She shoves me.
Be like that again.
They beat that out of me a while ago.
Jessie frowns for a moment. Then she grips the wheel and strains a smile onto her face. Her dimples look like tight drums.
Then let's see if we can cram some of that back in.
By a transfer?
By a change of pace. You'll love the meadows. It's a little chilly this time of year, but you can bundle up in the cabin. Which you'll have all to yourself, by the way. You can thank Ranger Smith's gin habit for that.
And the camping population?
Explain, maybe? Also, gin is good. Well, gin and tonic. Don't drink straight gin. That's a bit too much. Too much for my blood. Possibly literally. Jessie bites her lip. Her eyes dart across the road.
Don't think you're clever. We used to visit Tuolumne every summer when I was a kid. I know they have a campground there.
She relents with a sigh.
It's mostly hikers and mountain climbers right now, since the road's just opened. But I'm sure they'll come piling. I expect you to do your job.
Great. More babysitting.
You know, you can resign if you don't want to keep doing your job, lady. Like, I appreciate there's a certain amount of, difficulty finding work at times, but if you're that unhappy, maybe consider finding something else? I mean, we all know how this is going to turn out. She'll rekindle her love for it in some way, possibly involving another cute girl. But still, this does not seem healthy.
Remember what you signed up for.
Trust me, I do. Or I did before I realized the park was just the public's dumping ground.
That's why the National Park Service exists. We can't protect every square inch of land, but we can manage parts of it.
I scoff.
If only. For most of these people, the parks are just toll roads. They pay to get drunk for a few days. They'll sit around the campfire and talk about how much they connect with nature, and maybe even write poetry about it. And then they'll leave the fire smoldering, forget to pick up their trash, and leave.
Jessie cringes and audibly swallows. She stares at me with this uncomfortable gaze like something ugly she can't look away from. The truth is ugly. So fine, let her. She puts on another one of her smiles.
Well, that's why we're
here, right? That's our job. But who are we protecting it for?
Stare at Jessie with flat eyes, waiting for an answer I know will never come. Likewise, she side-eyes me, waiting as the radio occasionally crackles with a report.
The same people who are destroying it.
I lean back into my seat and stare out the window.
And where's the justice in a job like that?
Justice. That's a pretty word. The sun pokes through an opening in the clouds. The sea of grey swallows it soon after. I thought that was going to be a sea of grey swallows do something. Just, I was like, oh wait, no, abort phrasing. Jessie says nothing. I hear her fist squeeze around the rubber grip of the steering wheel. A knuckle pops. Then silence. Apparently I got an achievement for that. Or rather, you can't see it, but I did. We pass a clearing, and the forest, been trailing us up until now, stops. Distance, I spot the smooth stone peak of Lambert Dome. Sometimes we would make that hike when I was a kid. When we reached the top, I always felt like I discovered a higher perspective. Everything seemed so small, and the answers seemed so clear. I wonder, if I stood up there now, would it be the same? Is what I do important? Does protecting this land and preserving its dignity serve any purpose? And if not, does anything? By the time we begin passing families of pop-up tents and lawn chairs, the sky has dimmed to a deep grey. Slivers of blood orange and red glow out. Pockets of open sky. This is incredibly existential. like this whole intro is just how much, deep stuff can we get in? I am slightly taking the piss, but I think you can see why. It's a bit very, very deep stuff. I don't know. We hook left and take a short, beaten path. The tires crunch over the dirt and gravel and stop. Jesse twists off the ignition. Birds chirp in a fresh silence that only breathes in the air when a vehicle stops.
We're here.
How dramatic can I make this reading? I'm out of the car before she even finishes, dragging my luggage out from the back. Arching into a stretch, I take my first unobstructed look at the cabin. It's a modest building, guarded by a crowd of trees that extend far into the air, lumbering over the pointed roof. Nearly every inch of the cabin is built with the same sanded-down wood. It's inoffensively smooth. Tree bark has more texture. Tree bark has a lot of texture. I'm not quite sure what she's trying to say here. It's like, have you ever... I mean, I assume as a ranger you have at some point felt a tree. Is that an unfair assumption?
Not too small for you, is it?
Jessie walks up beside me, twirling the keys around her finger. I glance over my shoulder. The campground is hidden behind a thick row of trees. Small glimpses of tents poke out behind them.
Nah, it's perfect.
Nah. The wood creaks under our boots as we climb up the steps.
There's another station nearby, but they mostly oversee boring bureaucratic stuff. They'll leave you alone, but you might have to hand out permits if they're ever out for lunch or something.
Do I have discretion?
Not a chance, sweetie.
You can have discretion, you can't use it. She shoots me down with a song in her voice and a spring in her step. Also, they now have hats. I love a good hat. Like, my one regret in this form is that I do not currently possess a hat. I'll have to remedy this at some point. It is a vital thing for any gentleman to have a hat. Or several.
Knowing you, you'd tell them to jump in the lake before ever letting them fish in it.
What's wrong with... Okay, excessive fishing, yes, understood. But what's wrong in principle with fishing? Oh? Stream going a bit funny there, but oh well. Just very quickly mess around with the setting. I can't change that. Oh well, I'm sure it will be fine. Not like this is high octane action. If something does go wrong, just mess with it quickly. She's got me there. The musty smell of damp wood wafts into my nostrils as she opens the door.
Ooh, cozy.
Jessie flips on the lights and steps inside. Why are you flipping on the lights? It's like the middle of the day. I mean, I suppose maybe to test them, but...
One word for it.
My face betrays my sarcasm through though. I can words. As a smile creeps over me. Reminds me of a shoebox diorama. All the space is utilized and everything is exactly where it should be, from the fluffed up bed nestled in the corner to the fireplace built with rock. There's not even a TV, just a rocking chair and a lived-in leather couch that sits around the coffee table. I have to say, this studio really likes the simple lifestyle for their characters. Last time, living out of an RV. This time, cabin. Not complaining, just saying. They have their shtick, and they stick to it. She slides her finger down a desk, then squints as she rubs it against her thumb.
Huh, not as dusty as I thought it'd be.
Maybe Ranger Smith liked chugging Windex too.
Okay, well. I dropped my bags and frisbee my hat at Cat. It misses and lands lopsided on the floor.
Not unless he snuck back recently.
Hardwood floor bends beneath my weight as I explore the rest of the cabin, wandering off to inspect the stone fireplace. An unburned log sits a pile of ash. Cobwebs weave around the well-swept corners and polished floor, as if they were intentionally avoided. This place is clean, but whoever the neat freak is must not have any guts. A fuzzy spider trapezes from the ceiling. I look to make sure Jessie isn't looking, then give it a tiny wave as it pendulums in front of me. My voice drops to a whisper.
Hi.
What was that?
Nothing.
Oh dear. With a quick swing, the spider leaps away from me, landing in the middle of a trio of paintings hung on the wall above the dining table. Arranged in a triangle, each painting showcases gorgeous landscapes and scenic vistas, their locations scribbled in the corner. No artist's signature. Yosemite, Zion, Yellowstone. I'm sorry, Zion just makes me think of The Matrix, so that's going to be going through my head with frequency this time, I think. Yeah, that's oh dear. But are we going to meet the one? Who knows? Who knows? Probably not. But let's find out. All national parks, and all beautiful. And terrible as the night. I mean, what? Wrong thing. The spider crawls along the painting of Zion. In this one, lush greenery sprawls out to a deep valley below, guarded on both sides by fiery red cliffs and mountains. The Yellowstone painting is of a winding trail, spiraling to the top of a mountain. Splotches of vibrant trees are scattered across the rich mountainside. Beyond it, I'm making this way too hype. Beyond it, flat plains stretch out into the distance before dipping into a canyon. And finally, above them is Yosemite. I know exactly what this painting is of. You only need to take a few steps outside to see it. It's the breathtaking view from the top of Lambert Dome, overlooking all of... I'm gonna mess this up. Tuolumne Meadows? Tuolumne num 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 num. Tuolumne num num. I'm gonna stop that before I get off. No, that probably won't happen. It's probably not good enough, but oh well. Let's not take that risk. From the thick forest to the Tuolumne River. Americans are probably laughing at the pronunciation of that, but I don't know. That winds all the way to the snow-speckled peaks of the Sierra Mountains. Surely it would wind from the mountains. I don't know. I'm not going to ask. I've hiked up there so many times before. I could probably point out exactly where we are. God, I wish I was up there now. I would scream my guts out, scream until I was hoarse, and no one would hear me. This might be my favourite of the three. Yeah. But something feels off. After a bit more squinting and head tilting, I decide that this painting is too crooked for its own good. The frame is so off-centre that if there were a hiker in this painting, they'd plummet to their deaths. With a soft grip, I grab the sides of the painting and begin delicately, slowly, gently straighten. Creak. Sharp squeak rattles through the air, so loud, feel it in the floorboards. Shivers crawl up my spine as I nearly leap out of my uniform.
Jeez, so jumpy.
Giggling, Jessie squeezes past the dining room table. Dining room? Where did I get the word room from? Am I just showing how posh I am by the fact I'm like, it says dining. It must be followed by room. Because what kind of peasant doesn't live in the dining room? I'm not quite that posh. Live in a dining room. Wait, live in a house with a dining room. I don't at the moment, so, you know. Other than a flat, but, like, not that many rooms. I downsized from my, you know, Wizard's Tower. Well, Mage's Tower, not Wizard's Tower. You know. Yeah, I mean, property in this economy. It's too expensive. I couldn't just justify the towering tower. I'm going to continue reading now. Giggling, Jessie squeezes past the dining table and rests against the counter.
It's just the cabin settling. This place is old, so it's gonna be a little noisy.
Yeah, probably true. Her voice drops an octave. All that's missing is a flashlight below her face.
Kind of spooky, huh?
Not really.
Cabin squeaks again and my shoulders tense. Jessie grins, thoroughly entertained. Are you not entertained? Probably not, but you know, you can dream.
Some of the fast rangers stationed here always said it was haunted. Personally, I think it was just something in the coffee.
Was it gin? I don't have any gin right now. That's slightly distressing. I have whiskey. I don't have gin at the moment. She picks up the percolator off the stove and rattles it around. Flipping open the lid, she pulls out a small bottle of bottom shelf gin.
Our tax dollars at work.
Just be happy we're not privatized yet. Make sure to recycle this later.
She hands me the bottle and scampers off towards a cabinet. Scampers off? Scampers off, surely. This isn't an expression people actually use, is it? I'm confused. Confused in British. I set it back down on the counter and follow behind.
Question. When was the last time you were at the range?
To shoot? God, I don't know.
Scratching my head, I think back to the last time I unholstered my sidearm. Despite the faint temptation from being surrounded by obnoxious campers, it's about as rare as an eclipse.
About a year ago, I guess, when you dragged us all down there on our day off to practice.
She unlocks the cabinet, leaving the key in as she opens the door. A slender gun leans against the back.
An off day for you guys, maybe. I'd kill to just have one weekend off.
The words slip out of her, and as soon as they do, she glances at me, then the gun.
I didn't mean, like... You know I won't actually.
I mean, if you kill someone, then you probably won't be working for a very long time. At least not in the way you currently are. I stare straight through her as she fumbles around with her words. She coughs.
Anyway, what we have here is your standard issue pump-action Remington 870. Also known as a shotgun.
A bright sheen glistens off the gun, both the butt and the pump bearing the same glossy wooden finish.
Fancy. This actually doesn't look like it'll fall apart in my hands.
Do you expect most guns to do that? My eyes drift to the desk radio that was assuredly used by Navajo code breakers in World War II.
Count on the DOI to have their priorities straight. When have I ever turned down new equipment?
Judging by the bedroom eyes she's given the gun, I think the answer is pretty clear.
Still, this is a bit excessive. I don't need this much heat for grunt work.
A sidearm and a shotgun? What is this, the 4th of July? Also known as traitorous rebels and glare across the Atlantic while drinking tea day.
It's just a precaution.
Still haven't forgiven
Hopefully
you.
you never have to use it. It's not like everyone is asking you to carry it around on patrol, which I expect you to do every day.
Can I do that before sunrise? So I don't have to talk to anyone, ever?
Absolutely not.
Maximum social skills here, ladies and gentlemen. Maximum social skill.
I will not allow you to be a weird forest hermit under my watch. You need to have some positive experiences, okay?
My mind blanks out into a field of static. Jesse's tangent gains more momentum. My thoughts wander. I start to hear more noises. The creaking of the cabin, howling of the wind, then actual howling. Wait, actual howling? If Jessie heard it, then she's ignoring it, as her ranting continues to go places entirely unrelated to my misanthropy. Misanthropy, yeah. Scratching begins to scuff at the door. At first, soft as a whisper. It could maybe even be a branch or leaves, but the longer it goes on, the faster it gets, and soon it's desperately clawing into the door. I break away from Jessie, tiptoeing to the door.
Hey, don't walk away. I'm scalded.
Shh. I have. Yeah. It's not picking that up. With a finger. 2 lips. Go silent. Twisting the cold knob, I ease open the door. Nothing. A yelp squeaks out below me. I look down and come face to face with the love of my life, an adorable puppy. Its floppy ears barely reaching my ankles, pants in front of me, its small paws scratch at my boots.
Oh my god, buddy!
I drop to one knee, my heart melts as I stroke its soft, fox-red fur.
What are you doing here, pup? Huh? Are you lost?
No. Dog has found you. Your days are numbered. Wait, what? As if answering me, he gave a tiny howl, but it breaks into a yelp. With a whine, he snuggles into my knee. Yeah, they mentioned fox colouring. That does look awfully, foxy, shall we say. I'm going to do my eyebrow waggling very slowly. I'm not sure it's doing the effect very well. Oh well. We live and we learn. I don't know why I always look left whenever I'm, like, not... I kind of... And then my face got stuck. Oh well. With a whine, he snuggles into my knee. I'm dead. This is heaven. Dead.
Eve, get away from that!
Sprinting from across the room, Jessie charges at the door. I do my best matador impression and dive out of the way. Jessie stomps on the floor, her boot inching close to Pup with every loud thud.
Shoo! Shoo! Get out of here! Get!
Oh dear. Pup yaps back, briefly challenging it. But whenever that giant merciless boot lunges forward, his compact frame lunges back. The fight continues into the porch with one last growl of defiance. Pup scampers off into the bushes. His ears poke above the leaves as he stalks us from the brush.
What the hell? He wasn't doing anything.
Good. Maybe it'll stay away then.
I glare at Jessie like she's the devil incarnate. Because she is.
Don't give me that look.
I reinforce my gaze with more steel.
Orphaned coyote pup. Started coming around the camp, and Smith, in his infinite wisdom, decided to feed it.
I glance towards the bush again, but by now, he's gone, hiding somewhere in the shadows as the sky darkens. I'll need to set out a dish for him later.
Don't!
I mean, genuinely kind of good advice. Like, wild animals, don't feed them. It's a bad idea. Like, it's okay if it's like a cat or something that's stray or something, kind of, because they're innately domesticated anyway. But like, actual wild animals, don't feed them. It's not a good idea for various reasons. Jessie scolds me with a single wag of her finger. Did she read my mind? More the look all over your face, probably, but...
I didn't say anything!
But you thought it. And if you have any sense, you'll...
He pauses, glancing up as the last glimpse of sunlight is snuffed out.
I'll lecture you another day. But for now, I have to get back to the station. Before Hernandez eats all the yogurt.
With a nudge from her elbow, darts for the truck.
Yeah. Kick his ass for me.
I stare down at the scuff marks on my boots, tracked with dirt and dust from all 1,200 miles of the park. Ah, good, miles. Now that's the one thing I can agree with Americans on, absolutely, without any reservation. Using miles. It's just so imperial. As in the units are imperial. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, rule Britannia or anything. Definitely not. What was I talking about? Not nearly as polished or shined as Jessie's. Or even that gun.
What's wrong? I thought you loved dirty jokes.
It's nothing. I'm fine.
She's going to be so lonely, so she's being cold and cute at her. And possibly it's under her. In the far reaches, behind the cover of the trees, I see the orange glow of a campfire. The muffled chatter and laughter of the campers carries from across the woods. A tender smile spreads across Jessie's face, sweeps me under her arm and into a hug. I think of breaking away, but her gentle warmth is nice. It's kind of cold out.
You're going to do fine, sweetie.
You're cold. Wear long sleeves.
Yeah, until I bust open the next guy.
I rest my forehead against her bad. Edges dig into my skin. No. Oh, the voice is already at max. Just... Because some of the voice lines are a little too quiet compared to... I'm just turning up the volume on the stream as well. Hoping that all sounds a bit more even. And turn it up there as well. Okay, that should be good.
Hey, don't think like that. I didn't vouch for you because I thought you make the same mistake twice.
I mean... breaking someone's jaw, as discussed earlier, pretty big deal, so...
You're a good ranger, Eve. If more of us were like you and cared more about what's around us and less about our pensions, then the Force would be better off.
And
This will be
more
good
people,
for you.
more rangers punch
If you
people
can
in the
straighten
face.
yourself out here, then you can do anything. So try to have some fun, okay?
No, fun does not include punching people in the face. I'm surprised she didn't get sued. I mean, it's America. You look at an American the wrong way, he has sued, I'm told. I don't know. That's a gross generalization, and I apologize to all Americans in America, I guess, all over the world. But at the same time, guys, stop suing each other for stupid shit. I grumble it out. She has too much faith in me. Maybe all of that was true at some point. But now, I can take or leave the pension and the land. None of it matters. Nothing really matters to me. To me. Not to the wigs at the top, not to the public, and not to me. Anyway. Jesse swings an arm around my shoulder and walks us to the truck.
And besides, I'm just a radio call away if you ever miss me. I'll call every day to check in.
Yay. Can't wait.
She climbs into the truck and starts it up. The revving of the engine is so loud, I expect it to shake off all the rust that's carved itself into the bumper.
No slacking off now.
Sounded like now slacking off. She drops the keys in my hand and shuts the door. The headlights streak in the night air, beaming against the silhouetted cabin. The window rolls down, all the way down. With a confident smirk, Jessie tips the brim of her hat.
And Eve, you're wrong.
It might have actually been pointed if that was the last thing she said before leaving. But it hadn't even been 10 minutes when she drove back and barged through the door in a panic. She left the key to the station on the lanyard she gave me, and the key to the library, and the key to the toll booth at the south entrance. I swear, Teddy, with how seriously that woman takes her work, she has no right to be as airy as she is. Though I guess I'd start to slip a little too if I were working an endless stream of hours and got as little acknowledgement as she does. After 4 years, it's hard not to respect her. There's not a moment where she isn't on a call or filing in for... I was expecting filing paperwork, or filling in for someone, or blazing through reports, yet somehow she manages to stay as bubbly as dish soap. How is she able to stay so peppy and motivated? I can't figure it out, and I doubt I ever will. I've known people like that in my job. Like, there's like last year at work was crazy for us, so it's like, you've got the people who are just constantly just like, what am I doing? Depressed. And then you got the people who are like, somehow still, upbeat and peppy and things. Which is just like, I was somewhere in the middle. Anyway, that's enough about Jessie. I swear I write about her at least twice a week. Let's talk about my newly assigned post, Teddy. The cabin itself is fine. Definitely more my pace than where I was before. The furniture is old and cheap and perfect. I'm looking to the last bit of rain for the season, so I can feel the warmth of the fireplace and listen to the raindrops patter against the roof as I doze off on that lumpy couch. If it weren't for the circumstances, it might even be a dream come true, but in the end, I know why I'm really here. Deep down, regardless of her comforting words, Jessie knows why I'm here too. Teddy, the fact of the matter is this. I'm here because I snarked off one too many times, cracked one too many jaws. I can't choke back the last speck of pride about what it is I do, and that makes me a problem. No matter how hard I try, I can't detach myself. Not completely. There's still a small spark, and all I want is to snuff it out. That's why I'm here. For penance and for trading. Call it what you will, a new post, a living job, but I know what it really is. I'm sorry. Again, really existential. Oops, I need to stop hitting that. I don't know if that's coming up on the on the mic, but I keep hitting the whatchamacallit cover thing you put in front of it. I can't think what it's called now. Cover thing. Whatchamacallit? I don't know. I keep hitting that. My pen hovers above the page, inches from carving my thoughts in stone. Once it happens, they can't be taken back. It's scary. You have a fire right there. Right there. Like, you can burn that stuff if you really want to. Sighing, I drop the pen and reach for my mug, but instead of the lukewarm coffee I've come to tolerate, all that's left is a brown ring crusted around the bottom. I stretch out of the chair and let out my longest yawn in at least 20 minutes, maybe even 30. I drag my carcass to the stove and pour myself the last of the coffee from the percolator. Steam rises from the mug. The coffee is thick and sludges around like motor oil, overcooked and bitter. It almost tastes like it too. But I'm not a snob, and coffee is still coffee. Even if a gas station could whip up a better brew, and a percolator works as well as anything else. Besides, there's a charm in that, isn't there? Enjoying things that are inferior and outdated. I'm forced to stare at my reflection as I sip the coffee, but it soon turns into a foggy murk and I can't see anything. All that oil seeping to the surface, a gross thought, but it doesn't matter as long as it gives me the energy to keep going. Journaling is hard work, maybe even harder than working for the Park Service. Originally, it was just a way to get out all the energy that was bubbling around inside of me. Butterflies, hopes for the future, dreams of making the park experience even better. That eagerness morphed, slow realization. Over time, that morphed into whatever I am now. Journaling in time, sharp, focused reflection. It's a good way to cope. Some people drink, some people get high. I complain about everything to a notebook. By now, I at least have a dozen of them filled out. Heady, volumes 1 to 12. I think they all share the same consciousness. The cup warms my hand as I lean against the counter. Oops. Huh? Nudge the scroll wheel there. I am a professional. Not a professional at this evidently. The cup warms my hand as I lean against the counter. The wind kicks the cabin. I listen closely. I can hear night's nocturnal whispers from outside, chirping from crickets, the steady shaking of leaves. It makes me realise just how thin of a barrier from the outside world this place is. Cramped, fenced-in box. The only thing keeping me from the same darkness that's out there. It's a few dim lamps. A small choir of laughter and chatter echoes from outside. Reality decides to give me a slap in the face as I open the curtains and peer through the windows. A group of 4 shadowy fingers trip and wobble through the brush. One of them falls flat on their face. They laugh even harder than before. And speaking of needing a barrier from the outside world, I stomp over to the desk and snatch the flashlight. As I march over to the door, I remember that I've changed out of my uniform, tattered jeans and flowered. Hardly authoritarian. I reach over to the couch and grab my hat. Better. A hat always makes things better. The brisk air kisses me as I swing open and switch on the flashlight. I shine the beam right in their faces. They freeze like deer, about to be mowed down by an oncoming semi. Their laughter vibrates into hushed chuckles, and the only one of them with half a brain tells them to shut up. One of them stashes a bottle in their coat. The one up front, the smart one, squints at me through the light. His shoulders relax and he throws me a casual wave.
Oh hey, are you on break too? Wanna hang?
1,000 more of these kids could mistake me for another student their age, and it still wouldn't stop me from lobotomizing them with my eyes. I slip on the hat and stay silent. The Old Testament fear of the Abrahamic God shadows his face. They all back.
Do you know how many people go missing out here?
What?
I said, do you know how many people disappear in these parks annually?
He looks to his friends for an answer. They shake their heads. He looks back to me and shakes his head. The entire group shakes their heads together.
I'm sorry. I don't...
His hands are raised in surrender, the embers of a cigarette glowing between his fingers.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am!
Our voices bounce across the woods.
Do you know how much paperwork I have to do if one of you has so much steps on a pine cone?
Not a lot, probably, but
Is it... a lot?
his friends nod. He nods back.
Yeah, a lot, right?
Let's just say it's more work than you probably turned in this entire semester.
Wow. Wow. Someone get the cold water. Someone get it. I think it's a laugh from one of his buddies. He shuts up as soon as I shine the light on him.
Do me a favor and stumble back to camp, okay? I'd rather not have to explain to my supervisor how you all fell off a cliff.
Two girls hidden behind the others give me dirty looks. The kind idiots give to fast food workers. Oh, the kind idiots give to fast food workers when they're told that they're out of fries. I turn the flashlight up to the highest setting. They all let out a collective groan as they shield their eyes. Yet don't be a dick to fast food workers. Like, seriously. Like, don't be a dick to anyone who's just doing their job. Like, if they're arsy to you, okay, that's one thing. But, like, jeez. Some people. I've never worked in that side of the counter, as it were, because I know that I would be snarky to people all the time. But like, Jesus Christ, people, like they're just doing their goddamn job.
Go on, you heard me. You can bum around all you want once the sun comes up.
I point the light at the path back and brighten the way. He takes a few steps back and gives me a gracious nod.
Sure thing. Sorry for the trouble. Have a good night.
At least he's polite.
I won't, but thanks.
They follow the beam of light back the path. One of them makes sure to flip me off along the way. The others are not so polite, apparently. I switch off the light as they disappear into the brush. Trees. I hope they all actually do fall off the cliff. Fall of a cliff. But as I turn to go inside, a spike of movement rustles in the bushes. My body goes numb. I freeze, only allowing my eyes to drift over to the source. Turning around, I creep forward, reaching for a sidearm that isn't there. I step onto the dirt, the porch creaking behind me, then the bush shakes with a surge of movement. A ball of fur explodes through the leaves, its paws scrape across the ground before skidding to a stop at my feet. Breathing out a sigh of relief, I bend over to greet my prince.
Decided to come back, huh? Couldn't resist my charm.
If you kiss him, does he turn into an actual prince? No, he's not a frog. His ears pin back as I scratch the scruff of his neck. He almost looks deranged while I pet, his goofy-looking pupils struggling to center with the whites of his eyes.
You're an unbelievably giant dork.
Okay. So I was going to say at some point along the line, the voice acting is really good, but that sounded a little too excited, and oh dear, the stream is... Oh no, it's fine now. It's fine now. I don't know. What's up with it? An ear flops over. If my heart had strings, you could play the fiddle.
This isn't fair. I might seriously die.
I glance over at the empty food dish near the door. He ate every bite. He has to be sleepy by now. Just look at that belly. It's so round and cute and pink. And I'm going to die from this. I just know I am. It doesn't take much to coax him in. All I have to do is stand aside and Pup sprints inside on his own, hitting every piece of furniture like a pinball.
I usually offer coffee first.
He nearly somersaults across the floor, and my dusty laugh actually gets some use for once. gust of chilling wind breezes past me. It lifts up my hat, but I grip back in time. Strands of my hair fly in the same direction. The trees sway violently, shaking their branches like angry fists. Clouds curtain the last sliver of the moon, not silver of the moon. Going a bit Diana there. Silver of the moon. Knock, knock. Wait, no. Clouds curtain the last sliver of the moon, submerging the woods in a darkness deeper than any sleep. The cold seeps into the notches of my spine. Shuddering, I rub the warmth back into me, locking the door on the way inside. Like thunder, Puck runs up to me as I enter. Then like lightning, he bolts back onto the couch. I grab a pillow from the bed, then meet Pup at the couch. His front legs stay perched on the back of the couch as he peers over it.
Oh, no you don't.
I snatch him up by the fat of his neck. He nips at my wrist, but it tickles more than anything. I drop the pillow, then drop Pup on top of it. At first, he tries to wiggle free, but I keep the pressure on his back. He eventually gets the message and lies down.
I'll get you something more comfortable soon.
My leg brushes against the coffee table as I get up. A stray magazine catches my attention.
Jeez, Jesse, did you leave this too?
A bag of lemongrass tea sits between the pages, acting as a bookmark. Did she not have anything else she could use at that time, or was she just lazy? The cabin creaks with the blowing of the wind. Pup's ears stiffen in alert as he quietly gazes towards the door. I look down at the magazine. A map of the park is paired with the article. Every exit to the park is circled in red. Wrapping up your stay, leaving Yosemite. The night breezes right past me. Every time I look up, the clock has passed another hour and the gap only grows larger. In the corner, Pup gnaws at his ankle. His teeth chatter as he tries to chew the fleas off his skin. That's a good sign. I flip through the thick stacks of pages I've written on tonight and weigh them between my fingers. Not a bad way to break in a new journal. The soothing smell of fresh primer puffs out at me, folded shut. A yawn slips out of me as I shamble over to the bookcase. Light reading before bed is never a bad way to end the night, especially eerie nights like this. Frost has settled around the edges of the windows. A touch of fog strokes the glass, and looking into the darkness beyond, it is like staring into the black. Warmth and comfort flicker in my chest as I run my finger over the spines of every book. Accessing Yosemite, an atlas and guide. Best day hikes. Best day hikes. Best day hikes. Best day hikes. Yosemite National Park. Corruption in the National Park Service. The Yosemite Mafia. Complete guide to Yosemite National Park. Almost every book, brochure, and magazine here trails back to Yosemite, other parks, or the National Park Service itself in one way or another. Even the few pieces of fiction can't escape it. Novels like The Yosemite, or Yosemite Thunder. Looking over the alphabetically ordered books, I start to notice gaps, missing volumes, spaces between the books. The kind you see at a library when something is checked out. Things only get more perplexing as I arrive at the bottom shelf. A giant cardboard box sits alone on the shelf, bursting with stacks of paper and folders. Balancing at the very top is a pink folder with bright bubble letters drawn in crayon. Miwok Research. Miwok? What the hell is a Miwok when it's at home? Surrounding the letters are crudely drawn squirrels and toothy rabbits. Some are coloured in with precise strokes, never straying an inch outside the lines, but others are so wildly scribbled in and trail so far outside the lines, I'm pretty sure an 8-year-old coming up I'm pretty sure an 8-year-old coming off a sugar high could do better. Whee. So I reached down to grab it. I'd drawn out sweet things from the kitchen. The distinct sound of bending hinges sends my heart racing into my throat. That was the cabin settling. Pup bares his teeth. A low vibrating growl rumbles out of his tiny body. It sounds primal and large. Just like earlier, his ears point into the air. He stares at the corner and I follow the direction of his snout. Closet. Just skip away from it. Cupboard by the sink hangs open, still easing to a stop. The hardwood floor bends beneath my feet as I walk over. Suddenly I lose traction. My feet slide out from under me as I slip towards the counter. I yelp, my forehead almost colliding with the sharp corner of the counter. I reach my hand out and grasp it. The edge scrapes across my palm.
That was a little too close.
I give Pup a stern look. He's still fixed on the closet door.
Did you do this?
For once I hope the gross answer is the correct one. But looking ahead, a trail of water leads to the closet. And I start to think I'm not that lucky. Muffled clips of noise whisper from behind the door. Heavy breathing, quick bursts of movement and hushing. My mind flashes back to what Jessie said today. About this place. Our past rangers thought it might be haunted. No, snap out of it. I slap my cheeks and push the idea into the far reaches of my head. There's only one explanation for this. One of those campers from earlier snuck in here somehow and is just trying to give me a good scare. But that's all it is, of course.
What did I tell you morons about sneaking around?
I project my voice, trying to muster up the same bravado my high school gym teacher always seemed to have.
You're trespassing on federal property. That's serious stuff. Come out now and I won't slap cuffs on you.
The noise stops. I count the seconds in my head, but nothing steps out of the closet.
Fine. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Stomp over to the door, making sure my steps are loud enough for whoever is on the other side to feel, twisting the knob. I pull it open halfway. Excuse me? Two pale eyes blink at me, poking out beneath a yellowing sheet. I slam the door shut. Oh crap, I didn't actually expect someone to be in there. I gasp as a bang rattles the closet door. Another bang, as loud as a gunshot. The door bends from the hinges. I stumble back, my foot slips on another puddle, but I brace my legs. Somehow I'm standing. There's a final explosive bang. The door swings against the wall. Every light in the cabin zaps off. Electricity surges down around me. The sudden darkness forces a scream out of me. I slam my hand over my mouth and swallow back the terror. Damn, they know where I'm at now. I breathe in quick, panicked bursts. Steps. And through the darkness, the form of a towering silhouette begins to take shape, looming in the doorway. Pup's growl devolves into a series of vicious barks. I stand my ground, puffing out my chest and sticking back my shoulders. Ghost, intruder, bear, whatever it is, the likely thing to do.
What do you want?
I call out to the lingering shadow. The shape of its head tilts, as if asked something unexpected.
Do not belong here.
A voice rings out in the darkness, gravelly and dry, but also light. Higher than I would expect a demonic presence to sound. Not that I believe it's a demonic presence or anything.
This is my post. And if
We do not concern ourselves with the laws of mortals.
Hey, you gotta follow the law. Even if, the mortals don't always make the best decisions. Just advice. Advice. From one eternal being to another, presumably eternal being. A dim glow flickers from the closet, illuminating the figure in blood red. Water drips from their soaking hair, their bangs shadowing their eyes. They stand unnaturally straight, as stiff and dangly as a corpse. Colourful patterns weave around their leather clothes, beads wrap on their neck. Gibble. Ghost in the sheet hovers past her. floating in the air. Shiver tingles down my spine as it levitates several feet in front of me. This has to be a prank. I'm getting punked. Jesse and Ernie are in on it.
Leave us to our resting.
Yeah, I'm cool.
A high-pitched, energetic voice shouts out from the closet. The tall figure kicks back her leg. There's a yelp as the red light around her flickers for a moment, then reappears. No! Thunderous wind hammers against the cabin. A shout reverberates through the wood. A moan howls from the sheet ghost, muffled by the fabric. It's spooky in the same way a child making ghost noises on Halloween is. I mean, not terribly, therefore.
As much as I'd love to, and believe me, I would, I can't do that. I'm already on thin ice.
The tall figure stutters, and while I can't see her eyes, I can make out a deep frown.
Are you trying to reason with a vengeful spirit? Do you have any idea how ridiculous that is?
Do you have any idea how ridiculous your request is?
That isn't my problem. Basic instinct prioritizes survival over income. You understand that, right? It's not complicated.
This is surprisingly rational.
Basic instincts get written over by basic training. Besides, it's not about the money. You're not a very perceptive spirit.
She shouts in her brooding, raspy voice, but it cracks apart and she breaks into a fit of coughs.
Just shut up, okay? Shut up!
Bravado in her voice is all but gone. The vengeful spirit is now merely a frustrated one.
If you stay here, then whatever happens is going to be your own fault.
The red light behind her flares up, tinting the walls with a blazing glow. Pup's barks return with killing intent. The sheet ghost lunges at me through the air. I spin around, diving for the gun cabinet. Come on, Jesse. Come on. Please tell me you've got to lock it. I pull the handle and the door opens with my momentum. Yes, I knew I could always count on you, Jesse. Remind me to take you out to dinner if I don't die here. The shotgun still leans against the back of the cabinet, undisturbed and untouched. I reach up and grab for it. The metal crushes my chest as I hoist it into position. Adrenaline pumps through me. I push down on the safety, grab my finger around the trigger. Strands of hair stick to my face as I stare down the barrel. At my feet, the sheet ghost stares at me, now firmly on the ground, directly in my sights. My trigger finger shakes. I shake. The temperature of my blood plummets, and my body freezes with cold sobriety. This isn't what I wanted from this job. I never wanted to hurt people, point guns at them, or punch them in the face. All I wanted was to protect. Fabric draped over the ghost stretches back. Pup dances around its feet. His tail wagging as he tugs away the sheet like it's a game of tug-of-war. The sheet falls to the ground, and I finally get to see what, or rather who, is attached to those wiry legs. Like a burglar caught in the act, he stands there, wide-eyed and trembling. Leaves rustle off her tiny beige dress. But there always seems to be more stuck to her. Even her long brushed-out hair has twigs and leaves shaped into a wreath resting on top of her head. Little angel girl, everybody! Because what do we need in this? A lolly angel. More interesting than all of that, a pair of wings protruding from her back, feathery and white, like an angel's in the painting.
A kid?
And a little one at that. I could scoop her up in both arms if I wanted.
What on earth do you think you're doing?
The shadowy ghost stomps across the floorboards, making a beeline directly for me. Panicked, I shift the gun to her, but she's already towering over me.
Not another step.
Her green eyes glare at me. In their intense anger, they almost seem to glow as she grips her hand around the shotgun. I close my eyes and let my voice tumble into a shriek.
Get away!
I pulled the trigger once. Twice. Nothing. That can't be right. My eyes snap open just in time to see her wrestle the gun from me.
I thought they taught you goons better than to go around and point these things at people.
She moves to remove the bullets from the chamber, except there are none.
And if you do, then make sure they're loaded. Did they hire you out of pity?
Wow. She is pretty cute, though. Like, I'm liking the dark elf aesthetic. And the hairdo. That's a nice braid. Wolfgang appreciates this. I glance back into the cabinet. A small box of shells sits discarded in the corner. Of course, I slump further onto my back. This is it, I'm dead. Probably what I deserve. The little girl, paler than the sheets she was wearing, looks up at the bigger ghost. Her eyes swell with tears.
Yosemite!
What?
Yosemite!
Yosemite? That's how it's pronounced? Hang on. Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Why doesn't it have another T in it then? Why? Okay, so I've apparently been pronouncing that wrong the whole way through, but oh well, Yosemite. Okay. The more you learn. Oh well. She lets out a timid squeak and dashes behind her bigger friends. She wraps herself around her legs, content to stay only half hidden as she sniffles.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Zion.
She brings the little one in closer and frowns, watching small tears trickle down her cheeks. From far away, she looked like a creature from a horror movie, unnatural blue hair with frosted white lips. I'd say it's more... That's blacky, greyish, very dark grey into blue, but okay. Her entire body drenched in that red glow. But after seeing her up close and watching the concern wash over her, she almost seems like a normal girl. Almost.
Zion? Yosemite? Just who are you people?
My head twists back to me. Her head twists back to me, not mine. My shoulders tense up. I scoot back. But there's nowhere else to go.
Silence, mortal. We have haunted these grounds long before you were here.
The red light from the closet fades. The lamps surge back on along with the rest of the power.
And we shall haunt them long after you've returned.
To the ground.
She pauses. I blink at her. She blinks at me.
Yellowstone?
Yeah, boss?
Closet answers back.
Wanna tell me why the lights are back on?
Well, 'cause I flipped them back on, duh.
I can see that. But why?
I slowly reach for the gun. One chance to take it back. Maybe even the shells
'Cause
too.
the jig's up. She's not buying it anymore.
That is a head. That is a head. Teenage girl springs out of the closet. Her clothes are a colourful array of pastel, and her bright twin tails, best hairstyle for ladies, bounce up and down. She'd be the most normal looking out of all of them, if not for one distracting detail. Sprouting from the top of her head, like a mountain erupting from the ground, is a giant cone. Flattened at the top, and various shades of brown, reminds me of a volcano from a child's science project. Yeah, but way better quality. Is it a costume, a hat? It looks like it blends right into her hair.
See, she's already getting ready to flip your lid.
The bigger one glances back at me in a confused daze. I completely forgot about my hand hovering over the gun. Rolling her eyes, she yanks it away and slides it to the other end of the room. She squats down with a flat stare, gives me a flick on the forehead. A dull pain ripples through my skull.
I know you're eager to take my home away from me again, but let me sort this out first. Okay, gunslinger?
I soothe my forehead while grinding my teeth into fine powder.
No, not okay. How about you try doing that again?
A slimy grin squirms across her face, and she raises her hand again, thumb and finger ready. I brace for the next flip, but before it can come, Pup hops to my rescue and lunges at her ankle. She stumbles away in time, but Pup stands his ground in front of me, snarling.
Good boy.
What did I ever do to you? I give you belly rubs and everything.
He whines. Pup howls. I think I love this little guy a little more than with every passing minute.
Zion, sweetie, can you keep the fluff ball at bay for me?
The little girl, who has since retreated to the kitchen with her other friend, gives a quick nod.
Okay.
With intense focus, she flaps her little wings and drifts across the room, patting her lap as she calls for Pup.
Hey, boy. Wanna play?
You wanna play too? It'll be fun. She puckers her lips to whistle, but only air comes out. When she realizes that won't work, she clicks her tongue. Digging into her hair, she untangles a twig, then waves it around for all to see.
I grew a new stick for you. Please like it.
It just made me think, please like, comment, and subscribe. I shouldn't say that. I do that too. I'm not proud of it. Pup's head snaps up. His snarl melts into a smiling pant as he dashes over, completely forgetting about his duty to protect me.
This was a disaster.
Ignore waifu. Get stick. Acquire sticky. The tall girl pinches the bridge of her nose and sighs.
No small part thanks to your lack of commitment.
She turns to the one in the kitchen, whose head is bobbing back and forth to a silent
I
melody.
was tired.
Okay, she is very teenage girl. I see. She slumps over the counter and groans.
Oh, we've done this like a million times. It's the pits.
We do it because it works. That last guy rarely stepped foot in here after we gave him a good scare.
So, they really did think it was haunted.
That's because it is. Now go away.
She's different. Dollface over there put up a fight.
I'm not quite sure what that accent is. Oh dear. Dollface.
That's because
She's different. Dollface over there put up a fight.
That sounds like oh, it's making me think of like the classic musical sort of a gangster girl. I'm guessing Chicago. I don't know American accent. Dollface. I'd be annoyed if this weren't so confusing.
I don't like her.
Well, evidently.
You don't like nobody.
Yeah, I'm getting gangster from
She's Snoopy.
Snoopy. I'm now thinking the dog. Okay. He gives me a suspicious eye. Feeling is mutual. Conehead grabs the tea kettle from the stove and skips over to us.
That's kind of why I like her. That's kind of why I like her.
She flips open the kettle's lid and holds it up to her tall friend. The tall one wrings out her hair like a wet rag. Water, more than any sponge could retain, flows into the kettle. When she stops, the water is near the top and her hair is bone dry. What the hell?
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, even if it's incorrect.
Fumes begin to wisp out from the opening at the top of Conehead. A red glow crackles beneath it. No, seriously, what the hell? Delicately, she balances the kettle on top of her head.
Lemongrass again?
Please, and don't sneak sugar in it this time.
Steam begins to rise from the spout of the kettle, followed by a simmering whistle. The whistling gets louder and the arguing drags on. Pup barks as he rushes across the room to fetch the stick. Steam grows thicker. As the noise builds and builds and builds, I feel my blood boiling in my veins. Any fear I had has been suppressed by the intense need for some peace and quiet, for some clarification, for something to actually make sense for once. I climb to my feet and draw in as much air as my lungs can take.
Will somebody give me some answers?
The chatter fizzles out. The winged girl shrinks back, hugging Pup close to her chest. The kettle sounds like a train whistle. All eyes are on me. Finally.
Now, will one of you tell me who exactly you people are? I've never heard of a ghost that can touch people. Or one having wings? Or whatever that thing on your head is. Are they costumes? What is your deal?
Yes, they're definitely costumes. To be fair, if one were presented with this assortment, I mean, you might think that you were just very, very drunk or something. I don't know. The leader of the three scoffs, then turns away with folded arms.
Oh, is that all you wanted to know? I could tell you that.
Hey! Don't tell her our secrets!
Cool ya jets. I'm just gonna tell her who we are. But first, I want to know who she is.
She looks up at me with a big, expectant grin. The other two stare, awaiting an answer to spring from the stiff silence.
My name is Eve. I'm a...
Ranger?
I work here.
Satisfied with my non-answer, she gives an affirming nod, the kettle bouncing on her head.
Howdy-o, Eve. Nice to
That
meet
sounds
ya.
dangerous.
In case you didn't catch it, I'm Yellowstone.
She points to the wall with the paintings.
This Oith Angel is Zion. She's a cutie pie, and I love her lots.
Zion's pale cheeks turn red as she gives a little wave.
Love you lots, too.
Aww.
And then there's Yosemite. She's like our big sister. I love her lots, too, even when she's being a crab.
Yosemite says nothing. I glance at the paintings and pair each one with a girl.
So, are you each named after a park? Are they nicknames?
Yellowstone tilts her head and blinks.
No,
She points to herself.
I'm Yellowstone.
She backs away and rushes over to Zion, hugging her from behind.
This is Zion.
She rushes back to Yosemite and smacks her back. I can practically feel the loud slaps of Yosemite nearly leaps out of her skin.
And this is Yosemite.
Somehow, the kettle stays balanced on top of Yellowstone's head through all of this. I try putting two and two together, but I keep ending up with 5.
So, what are you saying? You are the parks?
Her face scrunches in thought. The steam evaporating seems like it could be coming from her brain itself. She looks to Yosemite for answers. Yosemite nods.
Sure, that works.
All right, I'm radioing my...
But why?
Told you no one would understand.
I don't know how you're pulling off these magic tricks, but trouble is trouble. And you three are definitely that.
I spin around and start for the desk. Panic warps Yellowstone's face as she switches between me and Yosemite. Kettle whistles above her, until finally she decides to hand it off to Yosemite.
1 sec.
She snatches my wrist. The fumes from her head puff behind her as I try to pull myself away.
Let go!
Do you just not believe us?
I mean, yes, she's not crazy, if that's what you're asking.
I don't believe you, I don't trust you, and most importantly, I don't want to deal with you.
My feet drag as I tug her behind me. Her grip is surprisingly firm. With each step, she squeezes harder until I can feel her fingers pressing into my bone.
What if I can prove it?
Don't bother. Just get your painting and the rest of your stuff. We need to go away for a while.
She ignores Yosemite and keeps pulling, digging her heels into the floor. Her grunts get more pained as she wraps another hand around my forearm.
Please! Just a chance!
Our conga line passes Zion and Pup. Pup's tail wags as he looks to her, waiting for scratches and pets. Zion looks up at me with her big, sorrowful eyes that only seem to get bluer as she gets sadder. Pup paws at her dress. His ears flop, The single heartstring inside me tingles. It's that fiddle again. I sigh, stopping before Yellowstone can yank my arm from its socket. I just love that puppy too much.
30 seconds.
Yellowstone smirks, a twinkle sparkles in her eye. Gripping my wrist tight, she returns to Yosemite.
Back in a jiffy.
Back in a jiff. Wait! Yellowstone!
Static crackles through my vision. Ground gives way beneath me and I plummet down, further and further, falling towards nothing. Hopeless dread washes over me like a smothering wave, and that's actually kind of cloud static noise. And then darkness. Howling wind blasts through my hair. I hear leaves rustle as the air whips past my cheek. My legs dangle below me. I look down. I wish I hadn't. Far below me, a thick forest sprouts from the jagged side of a mountain. Hundreds of feet of air between me and the bottom.
Hey, how's it hanging?
I look up to see Yellowstone peering over the cliff, still holding my arm. This sounds great. The moonlight spotlights her gigantic grin.
Oh, God! Cool view, right? Do you believe me now?
I flip my head in all directions, but all I see are far off silhouettes of other hills and mountains, all of which look like anthills from here. The scream finally breaks through. Louder than I knew I had in me, higher too, it travels far into the distance.
Help, pull me up! Whoa,
It was
stop
very
moving
quiet
so
for a
much.
scream.
I'm gonna lose my grip!
Don't let go. Don't let go.
My body swings like a pendulum. I grip Yellowstone's hand tighter.
Aw, you don't like it?
No! No, take me back!
She whines. Like, if she's leaning over, doesn't lava come out of her head? She whines, puffing her cheeks out as she pouts.
Jeez Louise, don't flip your wig.
Louise. Wow. I just spell Louise as Louise. I'm pulled upward, like I'm being sucked up by a vacuum. The wind tunnels around me. And then I'm back in the cabin. The warmth feels like a hug, and my legs feel like jelly. I drop to my knees and catch my shallow breath. Yosemite paces around the room, stopping in her tracks as soon as she sees us.
You! Is your brain made of mush? What were you thinking?
Yellowstone sticks her arms out like the wings of a plane and spins around the room. Zion giggles as Yellowstone circles around her. Up sits impatiently below them, his tail sweeping back and forth across the floor.
That I can make her believe, duh. I think it worked out pretty well.
Does she look well to you?
My teeth chatter as I try to warm myself. I'm shaking, my entire body is shaking.
I was here, and then I wasn't, and now I'm... What the... Oh, God.
The plane runs out of jet fuel and Yellowstone stops.
No, but I thought we could find...
Listen to me.
Her voice is sharp and serious. Zion winces. He squats down and grips Yellowstone's shoulders, meeting her at eye level.
What if something happened? What if she got lost or hurt? What would you have done then? Or worse, what if something had happened to you? There's a reason I try to keep us hidden. You know what they're capable of, what they can do.
Who is they? She mutters to herself.
Of course, that's all out the window now.
The cheerfulness leaking out of Yellowstone seems to have dried up. Yosemite's grip on her loosens, and she shrinks away.
Guess I messed up pretty bad again, huh?
Yosemite just gives a deep sigh. It reminds me of a disappointed parent. Zion tugs at Yellowstone's
I
hand.
think you did a good job, Yellowstone.
Yellowstone gazes down at her with a sad smile, then squeezes her hand back. A long yawn squeaks out of Zion, high enough that only the tail end of it is audible.
Looks like someone's sleepy.
She rubs her tired eyes and nods.
Mm-hmm.
Yosemite combs her fingers through Zion's fairy tale hair.
Get her ready for bed while the human and I negotiate.
Okie dokie.
That's the saddest okie dokie I've ever heard.
I'll be right there to tuck you in. Might even tell you that story about the swallow you like so much.
Swallow story? I don't remember that one.
For a moment, Yosemite freezes, then she shakes out a chuckle.
No, of course. Why would you?
Leading her by the hand, Yellowstone pulls Zion along to the bathroom. Pup trots along behind them. When the door shuts, Yosemite turns back to me. Her posture stiffens, perfectly straight in all business as she walks over to me.
You alive?
She towers over me like a giant sequoia. I feel her footsteps vibrate beneath me as she gets closer.
Just leave me alone!
I crawl to the nearest corner and hunker down, using one of Zion's fallen branches as a shield.
Relax. I'm not actually going to eat you, or whatever you think I planned on doing.
I hurl the branch at her. It skims past her shoulder.
I don't care! Just go!
A lump catches in my throat. I look around at the mess that's been made. Streaks of water on the floor, the tossed away gun, and the open cabinets. I take a look at the whole cabin. Small and homey, but I still know what it's really for. It's a purgatory. Sanitarium to clean me of any lingering pride. This is my punishment, and if that's the case, then maybe it's not actually a purgatory. Maybe it's actually hell. I don't know what people have against pride. Arrogance, now that's a problem. Pride, well, that's perfectly acceptable. I bring my head to my knees and keep it there. Well, and as for vainglory...
Hey, are you okay? I'm sorry about that stunt she pulled. Yellowstone always gets too excited for her own good.
Her voice softens, sounding more like she's talking to Zion than a truly mortal.
Just leave. Please.
I swallow back the emotion, but my voice still cracks.
I just want today to end. I'm tired.
She swoops down in front of me.
Well, you're in luck, because I have a truce to propose.
I look up from my knees and sniff. Yosemite is inches away from my face. He gives me a gentle grin.
I'm listening.
To get right down to it, we're exhausted too. It's been a long day for us, so how about we let you sleep here for the night, and then, in the morning, you can call your supervisor and send us on our way.
You think I'm dumb enough to fall for that? You'll murder me in my sleep.
In the time it would take to strangle you, I could read half of an entire book. Why waste my time with it?
That's
Besides,
either a very
wouldn't
fast
you rather
reader or a
not
very
have
slow
to be
strangler.
trespassers wandering the park at night?
She's not wrong. I have the campground to think about too. They started causing trouble with campers, then this could spiral even further out of control.
Look, just take the olive branch. I'm trying to play nice.
I think about it for a moment. How I might wake up being smothered by a pillow. Or I might not even wake up at all. Or if I do, how they might not even be here at all. But it's dark and late and my brain is slush and fog. So I humour her.
I'm not going to get a bullet to the face while sleeping, am I?
Only Neanderthals use guns. I think you're proof enough of that.
I mean, if a Neanderthal had a gun, then I'd be questioning a lot of things, but there we go. Mainly which time traveller was responsible. We have to fix enough holes in the timeline for that. It's an insult, but she chuckled. It's not very funny to me. I think again.
And I get the bed?
A joking smile is stripped away. She sighs.
I guess there are sleeping bags around here we can use. So what do you say? Do we have a deal? Or is this night going to get even longer?
She extends her hand, and for the first time I notice her ears poking out from under her hair, both are slender and pointed, tips as sharp as daggers. I don't know who these people are or even what they are, but I do know that I need some damn sleep. I grab her warm hand and she hoists me onto her feet. Onto my feet. Not onto her feet.
You're out of here first thing in the morning.
A warm wetness slops against my cheek. Humid breath sticks to my face. My eyes crust open and drift to the edge of my bed. with his front paws perched on the comforter. Pup continues breathing in my face. His wild tongue dangles below his jaw.
It can't seriously be morning yet.
I feel like that every morning. He pushes himself off the bed and scampers away, sliding across the floor like it's an ice rink. Childish giggles fill the room, and the now familiar sound of wings flapping like an overworked engine follows. Zion huffs and puffs her way around the corner. Pup runs behind her. I couldn't have slept for more than an hour. The nightstand clock seems to confirm this as foggy memories of me glancing between it and the intruders tucked away in their sleeping bags come back to me. 3:30, 3:45, 4:20, 5 o'clock, and finally 6:30. I feel like Goldilocks if she ever tried sleeping on the beds and the bears were hibernating in the corner. Just testing her luck until she eventually gets mauled. I peel myself out of bed and draw shut the curtain that divides the room. When I'm done changing into my uniform, I slip back out and catch a whiff of something delicious.
Good morning, Miss Eve.
Zion stops playing with Pup and gives me a courteous bow. Through the open window, a bluebird flutters in and rests on her shoulder. I already wish I was back in bed.
Rise and shine, Eve who works here. Catch all your Z's.
Yellowstone peeks out from the kitchen, whisking a bowl in steady circles. Once again, a kettle rests on her head. This girl and kettles, I mean, what?
They must have slipped through my fingers.
Or out of your mouth. When you aren't shifting around, you sound like a broken trombone.
I glare over at the table. Yosemite is chin deep in a book and sifting through the pages. Papers litter the table, some sprawled out like a shuffled deck of cards, others stacked into leaning towers. The cardboard box sits right in the middle, acting as an eye to the store. Without taking her eyes off the book, she raises a coffee mug into the air.
Yellowstone, tea.
Just a jiff.
Yellowstone power walks over, balancing the bowl in her arm. She tips her head and pours the water from the kettle to the cup. The process is delicate, like a ballerina bending into the shape of a swan. Nonetheless, through the teetering and tottering, the kettle stays balanced on top of her cone head.
Want me to replace the bag? It's pretty much water now.
Don't be wasteful. There's still some flavor left.
Fine, fine.
Yellowstone gives a defeated sigh. Same one I give every time I have to tell someone, yes, you need a permit to fish.
How about you, Eve? I saw you chugging coffee last night. Bet you take a black, huh? You seem like the type of cat who takes a black.
Yet, takes it bleak. There's a pause as I try to get a handle on the stitched together combination of English and slang. A Frankenstein of language.
With a little sugar, actually.
Dang, thought I had it.
She snaps her fingers as she returns to the kitchen.
Oh well. Hop a squat. I'll get you a cup.
Squat a what?
She means sit down.
just little girl flying past.
No can do. I have my job to take care of. Patrolling?
Tattling on us.
Her eyebrows bounce up as she takes a sip of her tea.
Priority number one, I assure you.
I give her a phony smile that lapses into an eye roll. I hope she sees it. She's right, though. It completely slipped my mind, I guess, when it became clear that they probably weren't going to kill me. My mind started drifting to more abstract questions.
You can do all that later. Just breathe in that fresh morning air for now. I'm making flapjacks. Yay.
I'm sorry, what? The most enthusiastic of yays ever. Oh dear. Except her quiet cheer doesn't match her solemn face.
Don't worry, cutie. I'm making you a veggie omelet.
Zion's downtrodden face lights up, hopeful but cautious.
Will you use the mushrooms I picked the other day? I can if you go get them for me.
With an excited nod, Zion shuffles off to the closet, and where Zion goes, Pup follows. The bird does too.
Remember to wash them!
Yosemite calls out, but neither answer. Zion digs around in the closet. Yellowstone hums to herself, out of tune and off key.
Fine. Don't cry to me when your stomach starts growing fungus.
Frying pan sizzles in the background as everyone goes about their morning, swept up in their routines while I'm swept to their side. With not a lot else to do, except fear for my life, and let's be honest, there's not a whole lot left to fear for anyway, I grab my notebook and sit at the table. Since it's round, I have no choice but to face Yosemite. If it bothers her as much as it bothers me, then she doesn't show it. She grabs a blank paper from the wobbling stack and starts scribbling on it, constantly referring back to her book. Sharing a meal with a person, or thing, that tried to run me out of my post doesn't exactly thrill me. Having to stare at them the entire time, even less so. Still, I make an attempt to clear my mind and start jotting down the events from last night. When my uniform is tight and restricted and squeezes around my joints like a python. My writing is similarly uncomfortable and stiff, reading more like a report to Jessie than a deep emotional expression to Teddy. Not that there's much of that left in me anyway. The assailant exited the clerks. The clerks? Closet, yeah. The perpetrator wrestled the gun from me. These are just a few examples. It's accurate, coherent enough to get the information across, definitely. Just try enough to be vague and frustrating. I experienced it, and even I hardly know what happened. Well, I hardly know what they are. They aren't ghosts, and I'm an idiot for buying that, even for as briefly as I did, but they aren't quite human either, although after their ears and wings and volcano heads, they might as well be people. I think that's skipping over some fairly major details there.
Some sugar or sugar?
Yellowstone sets down a cup of coffee in front of me, a trail of grainy sugar still swirling around in it. There's an explosive pop from the kitchen, smoke plumes above the frying pan.
My flapjacks!
She rushes over like an overworked waitress at a diner and lowers the heat. With me, I feel like a traveller exploring the cosmos. Found an alien society, and everything they do is fascinating in how mundane it is.
It's not polite to stare. If we freak you out that much, you can turn around. Or leave. That would work too.
You're so cold, Sundara.
You'd like that, huh? For me to leave you alone so you can just keep mooching off this place.
Are you expecting a no? All the other goons always ran off to the outpost down the road as soon as they caught wind of us. Only ever came back if they had to get something. And never alone.
Any of that sympathy from last night has evaporated with the steam from her tea. All that's left is her condescending smirk. It drives me nuts.
Well, I'm not like the others. Thank God. It doesn't take much to scare the apathy into them.
But not you, huh?
I'm open to suggestions.
I throw back the coffee like it's the nastiest double shot this side of happy hour. Scalding liquid funnels down my throat, then I surrender to my journal. Yosemite watches me with a focused squint.
What's that? Official report to the head goon?
The lead at the tip of my pencil snaps under the force, leaving a skid mark streaking across the page.
Journal. Sorry to disappoint.
Her ears twitch at the mention of journal.
What kind of journal? For documenting information? Studies?
Just a journal. I use it to wring out the last few drips of dams I give. Keeps me anchored to reality.
I look up at her, tracing my way from her black roots to her blue hair, down to the frosted white tips. Her hair looks like a waterfall pouring over a cliff.
And boy oh boy, do I need that.
She deflects, as if I'm the one responsible for sucking out all the wonder and curiosity in this world.
Suppose I should be proud of you, though.
I keep writing, don't bother looking up.
After all, how many of you suits actually know how to write?
What? God damn it, I can't help myself.
You think we're dumb?
I think you're uneducated.
Look, I'm not wild about my coworkers either.
Glad we're in agreement.
But give us some credit. Or at least give me credit. You know what a school is, right?
Something I assume you didn't go to?
No. For me, school was years worth of crap I had to sludge through to even get a sniff.
And was it worth it?
The question is like a splash of cold water to the face. It forces me to decide on whether I want to give the easy answer or the answer that lurks in the back of my heart.
Popular opinion is a giant no. It might be if people cared, but they don't. And even if I thought it was, if those people are the ones I'm protecting this land for, nothing will ever make it worth it.
Yosemite yawns, her face slumped against her cheek in boredom. She returns to her book.
Wow. I was almost expecting something insightful.
Don't like the answers? Don't ask the questions.
It's not the answers that bother me. It's the rotten little mind behind them.
Wow. Keep insulting her, please. Like, you're... Lightning cracks between us. We glare at each other in silence. My eyes will roll out of my head before I blink.
You two can duke it out after breakfast. Time to chow down.
Yellowstone swoops in with 2 platters of fluffy stacked pancakes. A thin slice of butter slides across both of them, melting down the sides and mixing with the syrup. I poke at the pancakes with my fork. Is it poison? It seems safe. In fact, it looks delicious. I could picture it straight out of a menu before you get the real soggy thing. Cutting a pie-shaped sliver off, I dip it into the shallow pool of syrup that's accumulated at the side of the plate. Why not? If it's poison, at least it's going to taste amazing. I take the plunge. Warm sugar drizzles down my tongue. The rich butter oozes out of the pancakes as I chew. There's a hint of crispness about the slightly charred rings around the side of the cake. Balancing out the taste of the sugar, it practically dissolves in my mouth. I swallow.
Holy crap.
A moan slips out of me, almost a gasp. It would be embarrassing if this weren't so shocking or delicious. Oh my god. Yellowstone giggles.
Like it?
Unable to resist, I dive into the next piece. I nod as I talk through the food.
Yeah, it's sort of amazing. How did you even...
I'm basically the chef around here.
He beams with a proud smile.
And the maid, and the dishwasher, and the laundry. You could say that I'm a jack of all trades. Master of them, too.
I'll say. What did you even put in there?
Trade secret.
Yosemite flips to the next page.
It's brown butter.
No fear!
A dark cloud of steam trails from the opening in her head. I think I smell sulfur.
Well, whatever it is, it's delicious.
I wash down the shock with coffee.
Thanks.
Yellowstone's eyes grow to be as large as the platters the pancakes are
You
on.
really mean that? Thanks?
Would she prefer I tell her this all?
Yeah. I was just planning on living off canned sausages while I was here.
Tears creep to the corner of her eyes, a whimper, then a geyser of water erupts from her head. Whoa.
Oh, Smoke. I didn't think being complimented would feel so good. You're a good gal, huh?
The water umbrellas over her as she moves in for a one-armed hug. Not overly fond of hugs, or getting my hands soaked with tears before work, or touching. I scoot away in my chair.
Ah, that gives me an idea.
He bounces back like a spring. The whiplash gives me a concussion.
What if, and stay with me here, instead of us leaving or you leaving or anyone leaving, what if we just live together?
Absolutely not!
Oh,
Like
come on.
last night?
We all
But every
know,
night.
like, you, Yosemite, need to eventually become gay for Eve. It's just gonna happen, I'm afraid. Like, get with the times, lady. Get with the times. I don't know. Maybe this won't go full Yuri, but, waggle of eyebrows.
Just give it a think. We already have a solid setup here. We could keep the place nice and tidy while you're wage slaving away all day.
I'm too stunned to outright decline with any kind of resolve. Shameless naivety, the kind tied with a bow and given to you. It's impossible to answer with harsh realism. No, it's quite easy actually. You just say no. It's genuine, it's familiar, and if the food will always be this good, maybe the idea isn't what, Eve? Isn't going to happen because that's the only thing it is. Remember why you're here. Look outside, look at the land you love, and look at the scavengers that stomp over it. Now remember why you're here.
I'm only here because it's my job. Last I checked, woodland sprites aren't on the payroll. The pancakes were good, but I'm still radioing this in.
Yellowstone's excitement is snuffed out like a candle.
Aww, I thought it was a pretty good idea.
Yosemite heaves a small sigh of relief.
Stop scaring me like that. I've had more than enough of this misery.
Before I can bite back, Zion scampers up to Yellowstone with a cutting board. The bluebird from earlier picks at the dried mushrooms that line the board.
Does that mean we'll have to find a new home?
She stares down at the mushrooms dejectedly, but Yellowstone reassures her with a smile.
Don't worry! Yosemite knows a lot of neato places to hide. We can just trust her to take care of us like always.
We'll be back soon. She won't last long.
He leans into the table and locks eyes with me.
It's the eyes. They're almost as dull and lifeless as the others.
Oh, come on. You know you want to stare in those eyes forever. I'm having to write the Yuri because it's not here. Not strong enough yet, at least. I don't give her an inch, remaining flat and unblinking.
Your flapjacks are gonna get dull and lifeless if you don't eat them soon.
Yellowstone shuts Yosemite's book and scoots the platter forward. Like a sponge, the pancake has absorbed most of the butter and syrup. With a futile grasp, Yosemite stretches for the book, but it's just out of reach. She sulks, then stabs the pancake with a fork.
I was reading that? Now I'll have to find my place again.
Too smart for a bookmark?
Smarter than you.
We both take a bite out of our pancakes. Between chewing, I give her the fakest, most plastic grin I can manage, forcing the dimples until it hurts. She does it right back. It's like staring into a twisted funhouse mirror.
It ain't a big dealio. Your brainiac butt has read all those books at least 50 times by now.
It is a big deal. You'd be surprised by how much you don't pick up on the first time around.
The gaze drifts over to Zion. He was now crouched down with Pup, letting him sniff the mushrooms. A touch of sadness flashes through her eyes, and for the first time, I notice the bags under them.
Or how much you forget.
Too bad Eve isn't sticking around long enough for us to use her credit card. And groceries. More fresh veggies, please.
I'm sorry, what?
Yosemite sips at her tea and shrugs.
Just be happy you goons are useful for something. They usually cancel the card after the first couple charges.
I try to choke back a chuckle that comes out as a snort. This probably isn't the kind of stuff I should condone. The image of someone like Ernie opening their monthly statement to see an unexpected charge of $600 brings me more joy than it probably should. Okay. And honestly, screw Ernie. Tugging at Yellowstone's jacket, Zion raises the cutting board up as a reminder.
I'm gonna croak from hunger.
Yosemite winces at croak.
Please stop teaching her your second language.
But Yellowstone ignores her. She bends down and takes the board, her expression melting into one of complete adoration as she gushes over Zion.
Sorry. Do you want spinach on it too? Mm-hmm. Don't cook it with butter though. Too much MSG.
That's a thing to come out with.
Huh? You sure? I want you to have enough energy to go hiking with me later.
I don't think so. After you're done here, there's a whole lot of cleaning up you have.
Give me a break. I just swept the other.
And now the kitchen is a disaster zone. Clean before we leave.
Grumbling to herself, Yellowstone slouches back in the
Maybe
kitchen.
things wouldn't get dirty so quick if you actually rinsed your dishes.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief.
Yosemite returns to her book, occasionally picking at her pancakes. When she's positive Yosemite isn't looking, Yellowstone pokes her tongue out at her. It's weird. I wouldn't expect some kind of hierarchy to exist among them, but Conehead and the Pixie seem to revere her like a big sister. All that's missing is her flipping through a nature magazine while hogging the phone. Girls still do that, right? I mean, they'd probably be on their phone, but in a different capacity. Oh boy. It is kind of late. So you know what? I think we will stop that there. I have no idea if I'm going to come back to this on stream or not, but there we go. So that was some more National Park Girls. And yeah, it seems pretty good so far. I mean, I'd have been ripping into a few bits because I need to entertain myself, right? And you guys, or something. Yeah. Pretty good so far. Again, cute art, pretty solid voice acting, and the music is nice. I might have to do a fast thoughts on it sometime. But there we go. Anyway, that will be that. So, thank you very much for watching. And I will... Well, I'm dropping another fast thoughts tomorrow as usual. And then I need to put together another schedule for next week. But we'll see what I feel like playing. So, now, good night.